Hi, this is Richard from rfCYCLE. Today we are going to mount the control unit on the bicycle. Because this unit is a new addition to your cycling repertoire, it is important that its setup be completed as close to perfect as possible. First, a safety warning. If your control unit interferes with your braking at all, do not use it. Get help with the installation or call our support with information available on the website. Braking is important to your safety, and if the unit prevents your brake from fully extending, please do not use it.
No problem.
Let's examine the unit. The control unit is a small black device that has two buttons with our logo on the front side, while the back side is curved to fit the handlebars. The wide part with the buttons will be considered the top of the unit, while the curvier, narrower part will be called the bottom. If you examine the unit from the side, you will notice that it is not one solid unit, but is divided into two sections, separated by a gray gasket and held together by tabs on the top and bottom of the unit. The tab on the bottom half is a pivot point, and the tab on the top of the unit is used to open and close the unit. To disassemble the unit, gently pry the tab on the top front side with a small flat edge or your fingernail, sliding the tab over until the top comes free. This top part contains the actual electronic section of the unit and is where you can find the coin cell that will be needed to be inserted into the unit to get it to function for the first time or to replace it when the battery runs down. Please note that the battery is inserted with the marked positive side toward you. Next, we must determine where the unit should be placed on your handlebars. For this, you will need the assembled control unit with the battery in place, your tail light turned on for visual reference, the magnet that comes with the unit, a marker, and a bit of tape. Any type of tape will work for this step. In this video, we have turned off the flash mode. The unit is operating as a brake unit only. First, test that the brake function of the unit is working by turning on the tail light. The brake function works when a magnetic field penetrates a sensor inside the control unit. The sensor is looking for the magnet to be aligned parallel to the control unit. Having the magnet too far to one side or too far forward or back will prevent the brake light from becoming activated. Proper alignment will provide the safe distance needed to install the unit. At this time, we need to roughly determine where to place the unit on your handlebars, as each handlebar and brake setup will be different. There is no one way to complete this step. You will need to find on your bike the best place. This will either be at the top where the brake lever and handlebars meet, or maybe at the point above the end of the brake lever and the curve of the handlebars, or somewhere between. The magnet will be mounted on the brake lever and the control unit on the handlebars. The important thing is that when your brake is fully depressed, there needs to be adequate clearance between the handlebars, the control unit, and the magnet, and we will stress here, at no time should the control unit interfere with your braking operation. If at any time your brake becomes looser, readjust the unit so that at no time does the unit mounted on the handlebars touch your brake lever. Remove it for your safety if you cannot get this step to work. Move the unit and magnet up and down on the handlebars and brake lever until you find the optimal placement, slowly pressing the brake lever with the magnet held against it in one hand while holding the control unit in the other. Observe when the tail light comes on. Note, as this is a wireless function, there will be a slight but noticeable delay from the time you press the lever until the time the light comes on. When you find the optimal placement of the magnet and control unit, mark both with a marker on your brake lever and handlebars. Using a piece of tape, temporarily attach the magnet to the brake lever in this determined position. Make this as tight as possible so that the magnet cannot slide around. Replace the control unit to its marked spot on the handlebars to reconfirm that everything is optimal. Adjust each again until the best position is reconfirmed. Once reconfirmed, let's attach the control unit. Again, separate the unit into its two parts. Set the top electronics half of the unit aside for the moment while we attach the bottom part to the handlebar. Let's examine the inside of the bottom half. As you look into the bottom, you will notice 4 slits. 2 on the left which are lower and 2 on the right that are raised. These 4 slits are where the zip ties will be placed. A zip tie will be inserted into one of the lower slits with its head aligned to face the outside of the unit, leaving the flat edge facing inside. The tie will wrap around the handlebars and slide up into the unit from underneath. We insert the end of the zip tie into its head and pull the tie tight so that the flat head of the tie ends up resting snug on the raised slot on the inside of the unit. Once you have positioned the unit in place, pull the tie as tight as possible to make this connection snug so that it does not slip. Then trim the tie as close as possible to the head of the tie. We will now repeat this step on the actual handlebars. It works better if you start with both the zip ties inserted in place in the base of the unit. After aligning the base in position, pull one tie tight so that the flat head of the tie ends up resting snug on the raised slot on the inside of the unit. Pull the tie as tight as possible to make this connection snug so that it does not slip. Then trim the tie as close as possible to the head of the tie. Repeat this with the second zip tie. Reassemble the unit by placing the pointed end of the electronic section into the pivot tab and raising the top lock tab slightly. Press the 2 halves together. At this time, we recommend making any final adjustments by moving the magnet instead of trying to adjust the control unit itself. If you find that you have placed the unit in an incorrect position, remove it by cutting the zip ties. Open the unit, remove the ties, reapply a new pair of ties, and fasten the unit into its proper place. Once the unit and magnet are working properly, carefully slip the shrink tubing over the end of the brake lever to cover the magnet. Then carefully apply heat to the shrink tubing, avoiding heating the control unit, and you are ready to ride. If you prefer not to use shrink tubing, vinyl tape or electrical tape will work. Shrink tubing is more secure. Again, it is of utmost importance that at no time during your ride should the control unit come into contact with your brake lever or interfere with your braking in any way. If it does so, remove the unit from your bicycle until proper placement can be achieved. Your safety depends upon a fully functioning brake unit, and our unit should not interfere with the brake in any way. The control unit and magnet can safely be left on your bike at all times. Make sure each time you ride that it does not interfere with your braking. If you need to replace the battery, simply remove the top of the unit as described without removing the zip ties, replace the battery, and then reassemble the unit to the bottom piece still in place on the handlebars. That concludes this video. Thanks for watching.